And the winner of Game of the Year is...
Fable II.
Where's the Fallout 3? Where's the Little Big Planet? Where's the Left 4 Dead? I'm calling you out, Sessler.
What?
I'm calling you out. You come meet me face to face on Tanker Show this Friday, and you defend yourself. Bring it, Sess.
In the blue corner, the Hercule from Berkeley, who shocked gamers around the nation this week by naming Fable II the Game of the Year, X-Play's own Adam Sessler. And in the red corner, the hometown favorite who dared to call out Sessler live on the air, Kevin the Darling Pereira. Can Sessler defend himself from Pereira's 1-2 up-up down-down punch? Or will Sessler vindicate himself and prove once and for all that Fable II deserves this mighty accolade? Get ready for the rumble in the digital jungle. It's The Loop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now in studio, a man who does not need an introduction, but his choices do need an explanation. It's Adam Sessler, everybody. How are you, sir? That's a mixed reception. Come on, we're going to be nice. We're going to be nice. All right, so we're going to get into this, Adam, but first I have to say it is nice of you to come on the show and defend your opinions. You certainly don't have to, and I appreciate you sort of manning up and doing that, because even coming in on the wrong side of the argument, you're willing to do it, and I appreciate that. But
that's very generous, and it's nice not to be doing it, in all caps on a blog.
Right, of course. I will still sound like a flaming 12-year-old, though, so let's get to it. Earlier this week, X-Play released its Best of 2008 list. Mm-hmm. Before we get to Game of the Year, which we know was Fable 2, break down the list, because it was a good year for games.
Oh, no, it was a great year. I mean, typically we have 5 or 6 games. We had to go to 7, and that's not even covering all of our 5 out of 5. Grand Theft Auto 4, Gears 2, Resistance 2, Left 4 Dead, Metal Gear Solid 4. There's one more that I'm forgetting, and then obviously there's Fable 2.
Fable 2, Game of the Year. So we'll get to why you chose it, but what's the process here? I mean, is it darts on a board, or...?
No. Actually, people who have played a lot of the games this year get into a room. There's one meeting where we hash out what the short lists are going to be, and then from that, we decide to go out and, for those who haven't played all of those games and want to revisit them, we have another week to do that. And then we got in a room for another 3 hours.
And discuss who gave you the most money, right? Because we know you've been on the take for a while, Adam. No. Because the forum fanboys have said this for a while, but they haven't had proof.
Because they're so edified.
But I'm here to bring them the proof. Roll the clip, Jim.
Game of the Year is a valuable thing. You don't just give it away for nothing. I want to get something real good out of this deal. I'm not going to take Pereira's recommendation for nothing. Him. For nothing, him. Pereira's a mother.
Okay, we could have cut that clip off a little sooner, but
really, that was like Glenn Sessler right there.
Exactly.
It's like, just do the mammoth.
All right, but let's get into it now. Fable 2, your argument, sir, please. How does it win Game of the Year?
Because now. It was more than the sum of its parts. That's what I've been saying, is that every single game on that list was a great game. And one of the things I want to just clarify is that it's not like Fable 2 was head and shoulders above everything else. We sat in the room and said, all those other games suck. We just love Fable 2. There was a lot of discussion, and there were many advocates for every single game. We fought with it, but at the end of the day, there were just certain things that really made Fable 2 work. And one of them is it felt so fresh, and it seemed to stay with us. What an interesting sound. But it really stayed with us for the year.
Like it was a slight upgrade from Fable 1, you mean? Because, some people called the game Fable 1.5 in jest. Because it felt like they fixed what the first game should have been. But that alone doesn't make it stand out, does it?
I like to refer to that as the dulcet tones of the uninformed. It was a major transformation from Fable 1. Fable 1 was riddled with not just technical flaws, but design flaws. The combat was very poorly thought out because obviously if you wanted to be good, you're still inadvertently killing people with spells or arrows. Here, the combat was elegant, and it was very accessible. I think that's a very key element with this, is that anyone who was not that experienced with games, with the simple 3-button system, you could get through the game without understanding the depth, but they did not compromise on that depth. So a more experienced player like you or myself could really look into that, and you had the better incentive with the way in which you gained experience by linking combos.
So yes, combat was great, and that's a given, but combat was also great in another RPG, which won RPG of the year.
Yes.
Fallout 3, which you loved, everybody seemed to
it's a
love.
great game.
Across the board, the ratings seem to be higher for this game as well. So how does Fable 2 not win in any other categories? It gets Game of the Year, but it doesn't win the RPG category that it should have been.
Okay.
Is it because you can't fart in a tavern in Fallout 3 and get arrows for cheaper? Because, I mean, it's an amazing aspect of the game. I love it.
Well, I can tell you one thing. When I was playing Fallout 3, I didn't get to sleep with Ian the whore. So,
but that's the other one. We'll get to Fallout 3 in a second. But you look at Fable 2 and you say, oh, you can fall in love and buy property and you can do all these things. But when it boils down to it, even getting a job is a timed button press game. The actual experience, like the promise of what you can do in the game is great. The experience to me was just boring. I'm pressing B to earn gold, or I'm pressing right on the D-pad 40 times to get somebody to fall in love.
For whatever reason, obviously pressing B to get gold is not the highlight of the game.
Sure,
but at the same time,
it's one of those features
there is a sense of real sort of investment in, like, you know, trying to get a job or going around and stealing everything to get your gold, because the more that you engage with what the game has to offer, the more the game gives you. One of the best examples, because we always talk about our experiences on the show of what happened in Fable 2, Morgan was quite the polygamist in her version of the game. Once she got to second or third wife, someone came and found her and started to blackmail her, and like more quests and missions opened up that way. For all those people that keep on saying, oh, this game was so short, I finished it in 6 to 8 hours, they didn't play the game. The game is not the single player. And I found that this was a game I wanted to luxuriate in, even while I was reviewing it. I was on a deadline.
But then let's get back to the Fallout argument here, which is, yes, those experiences happen in Fable. I happen to think they're personally, I think they're more shallow than the experiences in Fallout, because after 2 hours of playing Fallout, the discussions I had with people weren't, how many people are you having unprotected sex with? Oh my God, that's funny, you caught an STD. It was, I had to choose to blow up an entire city or not, and some people hadn't even seen that city. To me, that sounds like the world is far more interesting and vast.
It's an absolutely fascinating world. Now, the reason why I won RPG and Fable didn't, but Fable still went on to get Game of the Year, is A, we're not a computer or an algebraic equation. It's not that once you fill in a few variables, you know, it forces that something goes that way.
I know where
As
you're
an
going with this,
RPG,
yes.
Fallout 3 was superior for what is well known to make an RPG.
It was the multiplayer that kicked Fable over the edge, right?
No, it was not the multiplayer.
Come on, the multiplayer is great. Who wants to control their camera? Nobody.
No, yes, the co-op
that
Fable
was botched.
No, it wasn't good. And there, by no means did Fable 2 get Game of the Year because virtue of the multiplayer. I'm not going to stand here and say that Fable 2 was perfect, because the multiplayer did have problems.
Right.
That single-player experience is so comprehensive and so fresh that even with the issues with the co-op, we were able to look aside that, because the single-player experience was definitely what the point of the game was.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on. You do have some valid arguments, Sir Sessler. I will give you that. It was a tough year to pick with all the great games, but I will now wrap the discussion like a character from Fable. So, thanks to Adam for keeping us in the loop. Come on, that dialogue was sloppy. It was so fun. Sir Sessler, always a pleasure. Yes. Thank you very much for coming on. All right, let's go over to Hayslip, who remains neutral like Switzerland.